Okay, so the next segment of this session is called Tank the Shark. As Sanjay, I know you're very much looking forward to that. And there's a reason that Shark Tank, or Dragon's Den as it's known here in the UK, is such a raging success across the world. And needless to say, everyone is curious as to know what ignites an investor's brain. It also provides a really fascinating look and insight at the world of startups and investment, and what goes on behind the scenes. And the clue is in the name of this session, and we're going to hear from a seasoned investor. They founded, they funded, but today they're going to pitch a new idea to us. So the tables have turned, and it's time for our well-established founders to pitch a new idea, not relating to their business, not relating to their existing business, and they're going to pitch that to you guys, the audience. And you guys are going to decide whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. And I think with some pitchers and a lot of founders at the retreat, I don't doubt for a second that this is going to be a really useful and interactive session. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Gautam Ghai, co-founder and co-CEO of SourceFuse. He's a serial entrepreneur founding in technology nutrition. SourceFuse has over 500 technologists leveraging cutting-edge cloud-based computing. Now, you've got 5 minutes to pitch, and then we're going to open up the floor, and you guys are going to fire questions at him for 5 minutes. Yeah, ready?
I need to, but...
All right, well, I'm going to leave the stage to you.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, I'm audible. So, all of us have experienced the NHS. It's a wonderful service, but it's notoriously hard to get an appointment. Simple things take too long, multiple appointments over weeks and sometimes even months. And that's because, with all the work they do, their resources are limited, right? And much to the theme of what we've been talking about, I want to introduce an idea called Clara.ai. So Clara is named after Clara Oswald, very lovingly, who's the assistant of Doctor Who. And we all know that our doctors are superheroes, and every superhero needs a great sidekick. The NHS is uniquely positioned, right? It's got massive amounts of patient information, treatment data, outcomes, etc. And we all know a good piece of AI needs a lot of data to work on. So I think the NHS and that combination is uniquely positioned to really build an AI system that can add value. And the idea is not to replace a doctor. A good AI system is a great assistant. It's a co-pilot, as we've been talking about today. And the idea is to improve the efficiency of what a doctor can do. And we've been running some tests, and we feel like we can go up to almost 30% more patient flow that a doctor can do without really stretching their resources, and also improve decision-making dramatically by 15 to 20%. We feel this idea is about when, not if, right now, and we feel like a good investment of 30 million with a $300 million valuation is an easy ask for you to come in for a market that's going to be almost a $46.3 billion market in 2026. So do invest in Clara and come in early and make your millions. Thank you.
Oh, wow. You really weren't joking. You did not need the 5 minutes. Okay.
Usually need 30 seconds.
Well, that's why you do what you do. Okay, audience, I'm going to open up the floor to you guys to fire some questions. Take it away. I will pick on you if no one puts their hand up.
Sure.
There's someone in the back. If you could bring a microphone over, thank you.
Hi there, this is Anuj Khanna from Cashkind.
Hi.
It's a great idea and there is a requirement, but as you may be aware, NHS, notoriously or sort of, for good reasons, they don't share their data with external parties.
True.
So there's not much opportunity for commercialization or making money except being. So where do you see?
So in fact, I was had the privilege of on the 28th we were in a roundtable and we had some folks who were running, without taking names, the NHS, and there's a whole conversation going on how you let patients have an opt-in in being able to give information, to be able to share what's going on. Obviously, all of this information is totally anonymized. You're not really sharing any private, no PHI. And I have experience in building sort of healthcare platforms and HIPAA-compliant platforms across the world. So as long as you're not really sharing any personal information, decision-making is not affected. So as long as you're not identifying the patient, you're not really breaching privacy. So obviously, there's some work involved in getting that done, and we're working with them to do it.
Just a follow-up question. My question was more that even if NHS uses your application, how do you make money?
So we're outcome focused. The idea is get a subscription model. So the more efficiency we add to the NHS, we have a model to work that. The NHS spends about £2,700 a year on an average per patient. If you can reduce that cost, we can take a fraction of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Sure. Anyone? Okay. Here first.
Hi there, I'm Alessio.
Hi.
Thanks for your pitch. So if the key ingredient here is data and the data isn't yours, what's your edge?
What's my?
Edge.
The edge that we have in terms of our unique property.
Yes.
So the edge we have is a partnership with the NHS that gets us allows us to access the data, which is not commonly available
But
because
that's
we've
not exclusive, right?
It is not exclusive, but then we also have an outcome on, we have a large AIML team already working, and we've got a history of almost 6 years working in compliance-heavy healthcare applications that we feel is uniquely positioned us to build this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, hi, this is Yusuf. I think it's a great idea in principle. I agree, but I think I'm not 100% convinced about the solution, because what you're saying is that this co-pilot that you're developing will be based on proprietary data of the NHS, and it will help the doctors in making quicker decisions.
Yes.
I believe. But the thing is, that's not where the bottleneck is. I mean, the NHS, the biggest problem with appointments, as you rightly said, is that everybody basically goes through the same funnel. And
True.
people who are at the top of the funnel, they don't necessarily know what they're doing in order to direct them to the right place, right? So unless you can actually create solutions which work at the top of the funnel, it will be very difficult, because once the patient gets to the doctor, then the doctor already knows what they need to do, and they can actually move them forward. But it's getting to the right place is what the issue is.
And we're solving that with Clara. We're actually doing the note taking. When you call, the system will identify sort of symptoms, previous history, etc. before, and then do a better job at directing to the doctor, and then also be part of the whole. So the whole workflow is what we're trying to automate. So you're absolutely right. So if you get the right patient, the right doctor, and then thereby also help them in decision making, that is exactly what we're trying to do. But the core of it is improving accuracy, making sure the right diagnosis happens, and that starts with basically taking proper symptoms and making sure that other sort of allergens, etc., whatever, your whole history is identified correctly. You're absolutely right.
Okay, sure. I mean, we can have a chat later.
Hi, Vishali from Simsam Ventures. Actually, I'm an investor. So my question is around your forecasting.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it that you think that you can forecast that you'll produce these results, in the sense that you have that NHS partnership, but how are you going to do this? Have you done an alpha test? Are you using the data from your previous businesses to kind of share that? And the second thing, how many biomarkers or markers do you have in terms of the IP piece? I think someone asked a question earlier about what is your USP?
So the USP, I'll start with there. The USP is sort of my personal history in healthcare, in building healthcare applications across geographies, the US, UK, even in India, etc. So we've got a large USP. And we've also got quite an active. We've got experience in all sorts of medical transcription, automation, note-taking, identification, automation around identification of symptoms, and preparing data that's HL7 compliant, so we're able to ingest it into an EHR. So we've got a lot of experience doing that already. What we're trying to bank off is the ability for us to run large language models on top of this data, and so this is like a startup that we're trying to put together, which is outside. So today we don't really have a alpha that's in place right now.
So if I asked you how many data points you have, you don't know?
No, none right now. So this doesn't exist, by the way. It's just I should do a disclaimer. I made all of this up, by the way. Vaibhav told me to come up with a fictitious picture. We did that. So I'm glad I got some headway. So much of AI, a lot of it is in the ether. So this idea.
And then the first part of the question?
Yeah, sure.
The first part of the question.
Which is, sorry.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, please.
You're forecasting. So how do you know you're going to get to that point where you generate that outcome?
So if I'm projecting for a minute, that I'm doing a 30% more efficient sort of interaction with the doctor, and I'm able to increase the throughput the doctor gets, then that outcome is. What do you mean, from a revenue or from a?
Yeah, revenue.
So revenue. So if I'm
okay, have you done an alpha test?
No, that's the answer. Yeah. So I don't have the answer. Yeah, I don't have the answer. Thank you. No, but it's a sort of presumably if I'm able to do the 30%, and so the outcome is quite evident. And you can actually. Yeah.
Let me rephrase the question then. No, so have you got plans for the alpha test?
Say again?
What are your plans for the alpha test?
Yeah, so the plans are quite simple. After you guys write a check, we're going to go back and deploy very quickly. In 3 months, we'll have all that data for you. It's all about the check. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take one more question from Sanjay, and then I've got to cut it.
Yeah.
How much money are you putting in, and do you have a day job right now?
Yeah, I do. But the day job is what I'm going to use to do this. So, yeah.
Okay, let's give it up for Gautam. Stay
Thank
on
you.
stage, stay on stage.
you.
You got a grilling, didn't
Yeah, I
you?
did.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I stood next to you and I felt like I was being grilled as well. So I've got to ask, who would invest in that idea? Anyone?
3 people. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well at least we had a few hands up. Okay, but thank you. You can leave the stage. if
Okay.
you'd like to. I just wanted him to stick around for that bit. I kind of wish I didn't ask now, it's a bit embarrassing. Okay, so our next speaker is the CEO of Unacademy, one of India's largest digital educational platforms and one of the world's top 5 ed tech companies globally, with a valuation conservatively estimated at $3.4 billion. Now, there's going to be no pitch here, but instead, Gaurav is going to give a presentation about the wonderful world of edtech. So please join me in giving him a warm welcome on the stage. All right, all yours.
So, I didn't know that I had to pitch until 5 minutes ago. So what I'll do is that EdTech is getting infamous because of some competitors. So I'll give a pitch about our EdTech sector, and we have to do an IPO in 18 months. So I'll pitch to all of you that please invest in our IPO. So I think I would like to believe that EdTech, even in India, even till today, is one of the best sectors. Don't go by what is happening with other companies, etc. This year we are on track to close the year at around $200 million in revenue with almost break even, which is a contrast to the fact that we were burning $20 million a month last year. So we have been able to cut costs, and EdTech is a sector where once the IPO starts happening, there are companies like Akash, Alan, PhysicsWala, etc. When the IPO start happening, you will realize that it's one of the best sectors. Huge gross margins. Steady state, we can get to 25 to 30% gross margins, etc. And what is also happening is that one, there is test prep, but then there are companies that are building to upskill and to reskill people in various sectors, and those people need jobs. So I think what will also, and you will see a section of companies like Scalar or what ISP is doing in India, etc. You will see those section of companies that will continue to do remarkably well. And I would encourage everyone to build more for EdTech. What one realization that we got was that until last year, let's say $150 million of revenue was coming from online. But when we went offline, within 12 months, we are at a run rate to do, this year actually, we are at a run rate to do $60 million just through our offline centers. And we opened the centers last year. So what will also happen is that because of online companies or online brands will use their distribution and their brand to open offline. And what happened with, let's say, a company like Lenskart, which started online and then opened a lot of offline stores. So I think if you take this omni-channel strategy, I think large companies can be built out, and we will officially soon be the largest edtech company in the country because the #1 company builds self-destruct, and hopefully would love to have you all invest in our IPO. Yeah. Bejus. Unacademy.
Okay, so the edtech sector is something I've spent a lot of my career writing about, so it's really good to hear from you. So I've got a question for you. You're a successful entrepreneur, very successful. Have you identified, any trends that you think would form the foundation for a great new business idea?
So one of the sectors that I'm extremely excited about, even in India and globally, is recruitment. LinkedIn last year did $20 billion in revenue. Naukri, in fact, I believe InfoEdge is one of the most successful internet companies in the country with 2,200 crores of top line and around 40% profit margin. So one of the sectors that, and we believe that those products can be disrupted. So I would encourage everyone to do something in recruitment, because the space is broken from sourcing to screening, and there are lots of multiple layers, and it's highly profitable. You have good LTV, because once you start, like we have been paying LinkedIn and Naukri for 8 years now, Once you start paying the platforms, you continue to pay the platforms, etc. So I think recruitment is one sector that we are very excited about. In fact, we have also launched a product in recruitment called Next Level. The product was launched 2 months ago.
Okay, wow, okay. And Gaurav, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Gonna do. I don't know what's happening.
Do you worry about the regulatory risk?
Regulatory risk is more in the K-12 segment, where you would be selling to school kids, etc. Test prep has been around for 30 years now. We have institutes like Allen and Akash, etc., that have been around for 30 years preparing people for test prep. So at this point, I don't think that's a big risk for us. Yeah.
Okay, we've got a question down here, and then we'll go to that lady, and then we might have to.
Simple question. What is EdTech?
So, see, I had that syndrome where I was struggling to define that myself. But lately what I have realized is that eventually computers will teach all of us. We will not need teachers. We are going in that direction. We are not there yet. I mean, my business is built on us hiring teachers, etc. But eventually that's the direction. So we are in that point in time, we are in that space, we are going towards it. For example, Duolingo courses and lessons are made by people with gamification, no teachers. And this year they'll do a revenue of $600 million, and they're cash flow positive. They're trading at 15x or 10x multiple at the stock market. And if you hear one of the talks or the podcast of the CEO, he says simple things. We want to build a company where computers will teach. So I think that's the goal. Now, in India, we also have an offline sector and an online sector and a test prep sector. So while on our way to that goal, we also need to make money, and in the short term, you don't need to keep your investors happy in the long term. You need to keep them happy in the short term as well. So we'll do multiple things, but I think eventually I see a future in the next 4 or 5 years, etc., where there is a product or there is a game where people are engrossed and they're learning from computers and not from humans. So that's my definition of it.
Okay, I'm really sorry, but I do have to cut time there. Hopefully, maybe you can take a few questions from some people in the audience when you depart the stage.
Thanks a lot.
So give it up to Gaurav and to Gautam for his pitch. It wasn't quite the Tank the Shark session that we had planned, but an excellent pitch and a brilliant presentation about EdTech nonetheless. Now, I can hear a few bellies growling. That must mean it's time for lunch. So go and stretch your legs, get some food, get fed and watered. We'll be back here at 1:45. Do not be late. We'll be back with our pitchers and punters session. Of course, we've got the intimate chat with Mary Com as well. It's going to be a great second half to the day. So make sure you join us and come back.